Well, thank you again, listeners, for joining us. My guest today is Gabriel Colella. He's founder and transformational teacher of her Law of Reflections. Law of Reflections is a very interesting way. I completely agree with looking at the world and at us in the world. Thank you for joining us, Gabriel.
Thanks for having me.
Where are you calling it? Where are you speaking from? Where are you joining us from?
Ithaca, New York.
Okay. Did you grow up in Ithaca?
Kind of adjacent to Ithaca. I grew up in a little town on the end of a Finger Lake called Skaneateles.
So a lot of people, when they think New York, they think New York City, but Ithaca is a very beautiful, filled with trees. Like, you want to explain that to everybody that isn't from New York?
Yeah, it's in the central New York area in the Finger Lakes region. We're at the south end of Cayuga Lake, and we have Cornell University and Ithaca College.
Would you consider yourself a life coach? What would you consider? Because you do a lot of counseling. You're a Reiki master. I'm a Reiki master too, by the way. So I'm very familiar with it. What would you consider yourself?
I call myself a transformational teacher.
Okay.
Because I like to provide people with the tools they can take with themselves to do the work themselves ultimately, so they don't need me.
Right. You eventually want them not to use you. Is basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
Your success story is get them after they've done your programs, which you've done a great job explaining on your website. By the way, we'll get into that in a minute. What brought you down this path? Okay, so you're a teenager. You're going to go to college. Can you explain that? Because this is quite a path to take. It's a lot of self-sacrifice. But please, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it started before I was a teenager even. I was fascinated with human potential as a kid. I wanted to, bend soda cans with my mind. I was interested in ESP, telepathy. Like, I wanted to know if that stuff existed first, and if so, how does it work? Started with a fascination with ninjas, I think, when I was like 5. When I was around 12, my dad introduced me to meditation. And so I started doing that every night before bed, and actually sometimes multiple times a day. I was kind of a hyperactive kid, so it really helped me both focus in sports and in academics.
Were you a kid that played sports?
Oh yeah, I was a 3-sport athlete.
Oh, what were the sports?
Baseball, football, track and field. I played basketball for a little bit. Yeah, indoor track, outdoor track.
Oh, wow. What did you run in track? Were you like a middle distance, long distance, shot put, discus?
Kind of short and middle. I was kind of the big guy running with the skinny track guys. Because I was a football guy.
Yeah.
So I did like the 200, the 400, the 800. I did shot put, pole vault, and discus.
Oh, wow. You did a lot. Wow. Yeah. I was an 800-mile guy, but I was one of those skinny dudes. I graduated 147 pounds. My mom wouldn't let me play. Okay. I can't imagine. You're around a bunch of athletes. The thoughts you're having when you're meditating, and this is not what these guys are talking about. Am I fair to assume?
Well, for the most part, yeah, that wasn't what they were talking about, but sometimes their actions were different. Like, I had, my captain of our team was this jacked guy who was, kind of a roid rager, not into that stuff, into heavy metal. But he introduced us to our warm-ups being silent. Yeah, we just did a clap to change stretching positions, and the other team is like wasting all this energy, yelling on the other side, like rah, rah, rah. And we're just quiet and conserving our energy for the game.
Oh my God, that's so
smart. And we went like 8-0 that year.
Oh, wow.
We ended up in the Carrier Dome for the championships.
So you had a really successful career with that. Wow.
Yeah.
So then when you went to college, you said you played at college. What did you go to college for? What did you know what you wanted to do?
I thought so.
Right.
I actually, I started out as a civil engineering major.
Okay.
And I didn't like that as much as I thought I would. And so my next logical step was I'm playing football and I like science. So I went to sports medicine, athletic training.
Yeah.
Where I learned a lot about anatomy and physiology, kinesiology, which actually helped me with Reiki later on.
Sure.
And then I went to English. So I graduated with a degree in English with a concentration in science, religion, and philosophy. Because I went to a Jesuit school.
Oh, wow. Now, when you're talking about meditation versus prayer, can you explain to the audience the difference between the two?
You can use meditation as a form of prayer, but meditation in and of itself is not prayer. It's just noticing and breathing. And that's really, I tell people that if you want to know the most 2 basic things, parts of meditation, it's always come back to your breath and just notice what's moving across your mind, like clouds across the sky. They come and go. And if your mind attaches to one of those clouds, just come back to your breath. And that's
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I find walking very meditative and running. One of what makes that addictive for a lot of people is the breath that you're talking about, the rhythmic breath,
mhm.
and paying attention to that. It becomes very meditative. Uh, I think that's why people enjoy those things as much as they do. It's a way of getting the brain to focus on one thing and focusing on your breath. Why do you think it's so important to focus on our breath? What do you think that comes from?
It's life. It's the, the in and the out, the tension and the release, and it's something we don't have to think about. And yet, I always love that line in The Matrix when Morpheus leans into Neo and he says, "Do you think that's air you're breathing?" Because
Yeah,
I think that's a really good question.
yeah.
It
Well,
is
what do
and it
you
isn't.
think it is? You don't think it's air. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's air and it's also life force.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's a good point. It's a really good point, actually. I love your thought process on that. So then you graduated. Okay, you said religion and a bunch of other things with the minor. What was your major that you graduated with? I'm sorry?
English literature.
Okay, so what did you plan on being a professor? Is that what you wanted to do with that?
I currently am as well as
Oh,
my second hat is a university professor.
oh, you're a university professor.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So you're
yeah.
so
So
all
I
of the teaching you're doing is when you're not. How long have you been a professor?
gosh, I've been since pretty much since I graduated undergrad. I started as an adjunct at my alma mater at Canisius,
Uh-huh.
um, teaching remedial philosophy and some composition and literature classes. And then eventually in 2008, I moved to Ithaca, and
Okay.
I'm a professor at SUNY Cortland. I teach composition, film analysis, and literature.
Wow. Oh, film analysis. So is
Mhm.
that basically what it sounds like to me, which is you look at movies and things and analyze them, or is that what you're doing?
Mhm.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
my
We look at
favorite. That is my favorite pastime. Is watching scripted. Whether it's Amazon, Netflix, you whatever. I have all
yeah.
of those, and watching the scripted stuff. I like scripted for sure because with the writers and the acting, and I'm not a reality TV guy.
Yeah,
Um,
and then a narrative is a story.
So are you analyzing like how the lighting works with the writing and how the editing, or is that what you're doing? Like how they put the movie together or the show?
Yeah, all the moving parts, whether it has verisimilitude, if you're looking at if it's broken into the rule of thirds, if is it are they using three-stage lighting, are they all that stuff, backlighting, front lighting, so we look at how the cuts they make and how do those transitions impact the viewer
Wow.
and what impact do they have on the narrative.
By the way, have you seen Black Rabbit? I just finished watching that last night. It's
Not yet.
new.
It's on my list.
It is so good. You have to see it. If you liked
All
Ozark,
right.
Jason directs a lot of those. Him and Laura
I like
Linney, who
Jason Bateman.
obviously did Ozark. By the way, you'll really enjoy it. Um, is it better now? Do you do a lot of the 8 and 10 episode? Now that we've evolved the way we have in that area, do you enjoy that more? I enjoy it so much more because of character development that gets instead of a
Yes.
2.5 hour movie. It's impossible to tell a great story in that. Really hard anyway. Uh,
Yeah, it is. Like I think the whole Harry Potter series should have been a television show.
oh,
Because
exactly.
television it's come so far and it really allows for that development, which I like.
Yeah, it evolved so much, which is great.
Mhm.
And now that they have these 8, 10 episode things, that was so new when it started, like not to have a different story each time, like to have a continuation of a story. Well, now you can't really do it any other way, it feels like. And unless it's a Marvel movie or something like that, who watches a movie like that anymore? Because the story's not developed enough. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
that's amazing that we share that. There's a lot of depth and thought that goes into having that too. So then, if you're
Mhm.
you're a professor doing this, that's a lot of your time. I mean, what is that? 50 hours a week? 40? I mean,
It depends. I teach 3 days a week. So
okay,
I focus on clients during the semester anyway, like Tuesdays and Thursdays
okay,
mostly. Sometimes evenings. Yeah. And in the summer I have, couple so like 3 months off. The winter I have a big
right,
month off. So I
right.
focus on my practice more than.
Got you.
Yeah, I mean, I was still adjuncting when I started my business.
Okay.
15 years I've been in business.
Wow. Now, do you find yourself talking with individuals mostly? Do you talk in group settings with your clients? What are you finding? Are you business professionals, or are they looking at you more as a therapist? Because you have several different gifts here that you're doing, which
In
we'll
a
get into.
way, um, it's kind of all of those. And
Yeah,
I think some people see me more as a therapist in the sense that they tend to find me when therapy and coaching don't work.
haven't worked. Got you.
Yeah.
What separates you from those? So how are you different in what you're talking about? And I'll get into some specifics because we're just starting this. I really enjoyed talking with you, but so I have a lot of questions. So,
Yeah.
what would separate you from someone who's like a typical coach or a therapist?
I would say my process and
Okay.
the types of questions I ask and what I help clients arrive at.
Can you go into that a little more? Because that's what our listeners are going to want to hear.
Yeah, so I use a dynamic form of inquiry. I call it the reflections process.
Yes.
But it's a certain way of inquiring that really gets at the root cause of what our buttons are. What's pushing our buttons, and it helps heal trauma. And so I've worked with a lot of people that have trauma. The most simple form of trauma is whenever we feel separate as a child, like, and we make up a story about ourselves that are a belief that we are separate. And the way we believe things as children is wholeheartedly. And so it's true forever in that context.
Yeah, it's a great
And then
point.
we carry that belief forward in our lives, and that belief has certain dynamics that are embedded in it because of all the moving parts that happened in the moment that we believed that was true. And so, like, when I help people get to a story, it's not just like I'm not enough. Like, that's a common story. I call it a surface story.
Uh-huh.
And it's pointing at something much deeper. And it's usually like 2 to 5 word phrase that has an I or a me in it, like I don't matter. And that phrase and the associations that lead up to it. So, like, what I mean by associations is more like it might start with feeling stupid, like, or afraid of looking stupid to others.
Yes.
And then we feel, because of that, we think they're judging us and we feel alone, even
Yeah.
if we're surrounded by people. And then because
Yeah.
we are stupid and alone equals I don't matter. That's what it means about me, right? Because it's always making meaning about me. That's what kids do. We're like, in that age range of like 4 to 9, very self-centered.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
when we have that belief wholeheartedly, and all those dynamics, they become present in the things and all the moments that trigger us later on as adults.
Yeah.
And
You're so
so
right.
what I help people, I meet people where they're at, like what's going on right now, what's coming up, and we go from there to eventually back to those moments as children. And we uncover what the identity is, because I think identity is really the crux, what holds everything in place, even especially unconscious identities. And once we get there, I help them work through the moment that helped kind of solidify or concretize that in their consciousness. And we strip away all the polarization, all the charge. So it's just something that happened, not something that happened to me. And so in that neutralization, that's where the healing takes place. It's like, if you think like there's a core in your neurophysiology, it's like popping that core out and everything that it held there unravels. So you remember like all the moments you felt that same exact way throughout the course of your life. And you realize how that's become a well ingrained pattern.
Is that the vortex healing that you talk about?
No, that's part of my reflections process.
Oh, that's part of the reflections. Okay.
Yeah. Is looking at what life's reflecting to you.
Okay. Yeah. Now you talk about the law of reflection. It sounds to me a lot like, which I completely agree with, by the way. Couldn't agree with more of what you were writing. the law of attraction, I think, is very similar to that. You also bring up the word attraction actually in the definition, I believe. When people are doing the 12 session program that you have or the 6 session program, that's what you're doing is doing that reflective.
Yeah.
What are you calling it? Reflexology? Is that what it is?
No, I call it the reflections process.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. You did state that before. You said that your mentor was a native elder.
Yeah.
Can you please go into
One of
that?
my course. Yeah.
How did this come about? And how old were
So
you?
So it was shortly after I graduated. So after I did undergrad, I went to grad school also at Canisius University. And
Okay.
during that time, I worked in a holistic shop on the weekends. So I took like every class they had, reflexology, past life regression, astrology, you name it, I took it.
Mhm.
Read all her books, gemstones and crystals, all that
Yeah.
stuff. I devoured it when I was that age.
Mhm.
And then just after grad school, around I think age 27-ish, I started taking a class my native teacher was offering. So he was offering one more class, and I learned a lot of my inquiry tools from him. And so I learned, Haudenosaunee history from them, not white history textbooks. I learned how to lead and build sweat lodges.
Oh, wow.
He also he asked us to pass on his teachings and traditions. And so upon moving to Ithaca, I built and led some sweat lodges here. I've continued on my path of kind of lifelong learning. And so I've kind of taken what I learned from him as well as several other teachers and compiled it into a singular practice.
Yeah, you're combining so many things, which is, I talk to a lot of people in this space and you're combining so many of them, which I find fascinating. It's very unique. You're very unique in what you're teaching compared to other people that I speak to, which is great, by the way. That's excellent.
What I looked at too is the law of reflections across cultures. Like it's ubiquitous throughout every spiritual tradition,
Mhm.
except for Islam is not directly stated. There's Hafiz, or not Hafiz, the Prophet Hadith. He's the one who mentions do unto your neighbor as you would have them do unto you, essentially. There's many different translations of that, but it's essentially the same thing, the golden rule in another culture and tradition.
Now, what made you from all these learn? Oh, by the way, I wanted to go into Reiki specifically too. I too am a Reiki
Yeah.
master. So can you explain to everyone what Reiki is, what it deals with?
It's considered the universal life force, and you get an attunement, or what's called an attunement, and that allows you to become a channel for, a form of divine
And
energy or life force, chi. Yeah, and each attunement opens that channel more.
you deal with the chakras, correct? The 7 chakras that you were
Mhm.
mentioning. It's about
Yeah,
balancing them.
chakras.
Mhm.
You can work with meridians, and there's many subtle chakras as well. But yeah, the 7 main chakras.
Have you ever worked on patients that had physical ailments like cancer or, I'm just trying to give an example, or really bad arthritis? Have you used Reiki on them and seen the differences in them?
Yeah, I've used Reiki on those things. So I've used it on broken bones. Like my aunt she's a nurse. She was kind of a skeptic. And
Right.
I was like, can I do a little Reiki on your knee? Because she had hurt her knee.
Yeah.
And I did some Reiki on her. And the next day she calls me and she's like, I felt great. I went outside and I raked the yard. It's like my knee didn't even hurt. And then
Yeah.
the next day she called me again. She's like, I overdid it on my knee because it felt so good.
Yeah.
So she's laid up again, because she overdid it.
Yeah.
So that was
I've,
kind of
I've,
a funny
I've known people
story.
that are doing Reiki and also chanting and watched, and had, tumors evaporate because of the vibrational energy. Healing work with the hands is an amazing thing. And you're right. It's about the attunement. Now, when you're talking about Reiki, so since is a lot of your work done over this medium that we're on now, not done in person? Okay.
Yeah,
So
I
obviously
was doing Zoom before it was cool.
yeah.
I started with
So you're
Skype.
not obviously doing Reiki when that's taking place. When are you, because I see that you're mentioning Reiki on your website. Are you
Yeah,
offering that
for a
to
long,
people?
not really officially.
Gotcha.
Um,
Okay.
for a long time, I taught it at the community college north of where I live, and a lot of nurses came through that program, and some older people that were curious about it, that were retired and wanted to try it out. And so I did a lot of that. I still teach it upon request or referral, but generally I don't really use that much anymore. I do more of vortex healing. If I were to compare the two, I'd say Reiki is kind of like an infrared lamp, and it's really
Yeah.
great for certain things. Vortex is more like a laser, and it develops your energetic system so that you can bridge into other people's energy systems more deeply.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's that bridging that allows for more healing on a deeper physical level. And it can really get at mental, emotional issues that are held elsewhere in our energetic systems too.
Got you. So, because I see you offer that exclusively from the other on its own, outside of the reflections process that you're teaching.
Yeah. Sometimes I offer them together. I'm actually creating a package for both of those things because so they're great. It's really great paired because the law of reflections helps people get to what the specific issue is, and the more specific I can get on an issue, the more deeply I can use vortex healing. So
vortex healing
it's
on
pretty-
the so it isolates
Yeah.
the
yeah, wherever it's held in your system.
wow.
And there's a lot. Sometimes there's physical releases. Sometimes it's a change in consciousness. It's yeah.
Can you also go into? I love your procrastinators. Panacea. I like the one it was labeled. Can you go into that? What that entails?
My procrastinators.
That's procrastination in us. I think literally everybody.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, my procrastinators panacea is it tackles the three main causes of procrastination. And besides the stories that keep us getting in our own way, this is about looking at first, is what you're wanting to do in alignment with your values, your highest values. So our highest 4 or 5 values is what we think is our purpose. But those values change over time. So it's good to reevaluate those every 6 months. Because the hierarchy shifts and changes as we fulfill certain ones. And often our voids determine our values. So what we feel is missing will often determine what we are wanting.
That's a very good point. Actually, that's quite often the case.
And so I help people. I have a questionnaire that helps people determine roughly their 5 highest values. And then we look at how's this goal or vision in alignment with these. And if it's not in alignment, then that's part of the reason it's not like you're procrastinating, because you don't see how it's fulfilling your highest values. So a lot of times people hate their jobs, but they don't see how it's actually helping them fulfill their values.
Right. You need to look at the job differently. Yeah, that is so true. Yeah. It's all perspective.
And the second thing is it broken down into small achievable steps?
Okay.
And that can be just making a phone call. Like that's one step. It can be making a list of things to do. Like that's one step. Like, can you break it down into those, like, so that it feels achievable? Because often we look at the whole thing and that's why we procrastinate as well, because it seems overwhelming or too much. But if you can create, a breadcrumb trail to your goal, then it becomes easier and manageable and doable. And lastly, so let's see, I'm trying to remember the 3 things. I haven't done this. I offered it in a while. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I blanked on this.
Well,
I remember this off the top of my head all the time.
It's all right. Well, because you're obviously not giving you're doing a lot of the reflection process right now, right? Is that what you're doing primarily?
Yeah, primarily.
And how are people finding you?
Generally through referral, word of mouth.
That's what I thought it would be.
Yeah, with vortex healing, I've also made a lot of international contacts. So I've do have clients in like London, South Africa, the Netherlands, California, New York City.
Why specifically with vortex healing? Do you say that?
Because there's a large international community as well. There's only 7 teachers total. They are located all over the world. 3 of them are here in the U.S. The others are in, Ireland and Argentina, and
Already
one
heard
was
of.
in Australia, but now he's in the Netherlands.
Oh, wow. Only 7. That's crazy. And you're one of
Yeah.
them.
No, I'm a
Wow.
practitioner, not a teacher.
Oh, you're a practitioner. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the two, by the way?
Part of it is there's usually an energetic differentiation in terms of what we would consider the energetic spine,
Okay.
whether it can handle the transmission to be a teacher, because the teachers are holding what's called a group field and
Mm.
for everyone in class. And so if it would be very taxing energetically if your system wasn't like already kind of ready to handle that type of transmission.
Oh, wow. So they're just very they've just been doing it for so much longer. That's what gets them to that level, or
No, it's just like I don't know. Like our teacher will notice like that they have what he calls the spine for it, and it's really just like whatever. It's nothing to do with where you're at spiritually or energetically. It's just what you were born with. Essentially, you can develop it, yes, but generally, it's like he'll just notice and be like, "Oh, that person has the energy system that's appropriate for or good for someone who would be a teacher."
yeah, got it.
Because they can handle the Shakti essentially.
Now, how does anyone know whether they can or can't handle that? What's going to happen to them if they don't? You know what I mean? How do you determine that?
Well, it can, and it could really, it would be taxing on your nervous system.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, like it could kind of fry your nervous system, so to speak. Not detrimentally, but it would impact it pretty significantly.
I understand. Now, are most people taking the reflection process, the 12 sessions, 6 sessions? What are you seeing most people do? I think you're very fairly priced, by the way, too, with the time you're giving people. And by the way, are each one of the sessions 90 minutes? Is that what the 90 minutes is there for? That doesn't seem clear.
There's 60 to 90 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
I like people to set aside 90 minutes because
Okay.
some things are more persistent than others, or we're not willing to let go of things as easily as others.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
But each 90 minutes is a session. Is that what you're stating?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, that's extremely fairly priced, very reasonably priced, what you're doing for the work that you're doing. I think it is.
I know. I've had people in New York City tell me I should charge double.
You should charge double. And that's on another call. That's on our next call.
Okay.
You and I won't get into those things. But right, but I'm just God bless. It just shows the type of person you are, though, is what I mean. Why I'm saying that. That's like other people in your field do charge more, and they're not. Again, you come from such a unique approach because you're building your philosophy in with it, which most people don't come from that background when they're not educated in it. And you just seem to naturally be a part of it. And the fact that you teach it as well keeps you in that space a lot because you're teaching it. And I also love that you're telling everyone to eat better, sleep better, exercise. I'm a modern Pilates guy. I'm 50 years old, and I fluctuate between 8 and 10% body fat. I balance my, or I'm sorry, I balance my macros. And so I've always tell people always ask me, what's the secret? I'm like, it's just consistency, balance your macros, drink water, and
Water, yeah.
exercise. Whatever it is you enjoy doing, you need to get the endorphins going. The better you eat, the better you feel, the more you're going to project that. And you talk about that reflective.
Overindulge in moderation.
Yeah. That's hilarious. And how do people find you? What is the name of your website?
It's lawoofreflections.com.
And if they
I also have a profile, probably a more up-to-date page on heal.me/law of reflections.
Oh, great. Okay. And if they wanted to speak to you about setting something up, how do they find you to do that? Through the website? Okay.
Yeah, you can email me at gabriel@lawofreflections.com. You can, my phone number is usually on my social media, or I believe on my website too.
It's on your website too.
Yeah.
It's listed there. Well, I hope the listeners have enjoyed it as much as I have. Gabriel, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. I highly recommend everyone to go to his website to check out what he offers. He's very fairly prices it, and I love the perspective it comes from having such a philosophical approach to healing, helping heal. from mainly from childhood trauma. Thank you a lot for your time, Gabriel.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.